Zach, this is Crystal Palace. Inc. NORAD has declared DEFCON 3. Scramble all alert aircraft. I repeat, scramble all alert aircraft.
The Whopper spends all its time thinking about World War III.
Target selection complete. Time on target sequence complete.
22 Typhoon-class submarines departing Petropavlovsk, turning southbound at Nordkap, bearing 095 degrees.
Radar reports 2 unknown tracks are penetrating the Alaskan air defense zone.
From the front lines of the information war.
Flush the bombers, get the subs in launch mode. We are at DEFCON 1.
Are you prepared to destroy the enemy?
You betcha.
Defending the Republic from enemies, foreign and domestic.
We'll keep control, but we'll keep it here at the top where it belongs.
3, 2, 1. Impact.
Shall we play a game?
How about global thermonuclear war?
Live from the Infowars.com studios, it's Alex Jones.
All units confirm weapons targeted and ready, awaiting launch codes.
We are in a launch mode.
Do you really believe that the enemy would attack without provocation?
If you are receiving this transmission, you are the resistance.
We're in.
Russians are still denying everything, sir. We have a Soviet submarine launch detection.
I wish I didn't know about any of this. I wish I was like everybody else.
Strange game. The only winning move is not to play.
I think I just had a revelation here. And it's two things that we knew were developing that I think just reached a head. And because it's all so complex, sometimes the easiest, most obvious things get overlooked. But I think I just saw it clearly. We've been asking, what is the deep state? What are the globalists going to do as the facade is falling, as the house of cards is falling, as all their criminal activity gets exposed, as Trump is becoming not only the most successful president in U.S. history, but also the most popular? Now, I realize that there's a bunch of leftists out there that don't understand what I'm saying, but you need to get this through your head. Donald J. Trump has been the most successful president in U.S. history in decades, probably in your life, and he's quickly becoming the most popular one. So put your biases aside and your hatred aside and accept that. Which again leads us to the main question. What do the globalists, what do the deep state do in response to stop Donald Trump from destroying their criminal global empire? And it all just came clear to me in the break. We were expecting something domestically to try to force this country into some sort of a domestic dispute, or to try to blame Trump or blame Trump supporters. But now I realize John Kerry goes to Iran in lieu of the fact that Trump is going to cancel the Iran deal. This is a John Kerry war. John Kerry went to Iran to figure out how they're going to kick off this war versus Israel. John Kerry went to Iran to see how they can manipulate the world to hate Donald Trump, to blame Donald Trump for a war in the Middle East because he got out of the Iran deal. That's what John Kerry went over there to do. He went over there to stab America in the back, to stab Trump in the back, and to stab the whole world in the back because their criminal cabal is failing. Ladies and gentlemen, when you know the atrocities these people are guilty of, not just starting wars, but trafficking and raping children, that's what they're doing. They're doing their spirit cookings, folks. It's all going to be exposed. It's all going to be exposed. That's why they have to start World War III, so that you don't know about it and so they don't get hung from a damn tree where they belong. Excuse me. That son of a bitch went over to Iran to start a frickin' war, man. Look at this. You know what? This is the deal. This is the deal. I'm dead serious. If these people don't get locked up within months, we're going to war. They will start a war. John Kerry will start a damn war. That's what he did when he went over to Iran, folks. I'm telling you, these people have to be locked up. They have to be locked up. They're not going to stop. They're going to keep pressing for war. They cannot let Trump be successful. They cannot let America exist. They will start World War III to distract from their crimes, and they'll use Iran to do it. You better believe that. Alex, I'm starting to get pissed.
Well, you're absolutely right, but I got to tell you, Trump is not in control of the executive branch completely, but under COG, he's not in control of the bureaucracy yet, but if they're going to war or the DEFCON raises, even mainstream media will take directives from the president. And I just figured out why war is the #1 ratings driver for any media outlet, why they're not covering the Israel-Iran war kicking off since yesterday. And they're not covering it because Trump always says, I don't tell the enemy what I'm doing. We don't cover military operations till they're over. So let me tell you why we're not seeing this on the news. Trump has put a directive out, I can guarantee you, to the media to not cover this or they'd be all over it. CNN is so state-run by deep state, but it's not doing it. But even they, when an actual war's starting, who usually will attack Trump, will get the directives, hey, do not cover this. And I'm telling you, because I know how it all works, Owen, that's what's currently happening. And I agree with your analysis about all this and the deep state and Clinton and Obama and all this trying to embarrass Trump and the Iranian deal being bad. I don't think Trump's bad, but I'm saying this is even more sophisticated, and whatever's happening is a game of brinksmanship. They could go to full war with Iran, then that brings Russia in. This is an incredible. In fact, when I leave here in about an hour, I'm going to feel guilty. I already got my sports jacket off. My wife, children are waiting to have dinner with me. But I mean, I don't even know how I even leave when this is going on. Because this, let me tell you, no coverage of this in our media, that is unfrickin' precedented. Back to you, Owen Schroyer. Trump ordered this.
Well, and think about this. So the story goes, John Kerry goes to Iran to save the Iran deal. First of all, that's a total misnomer. John Kerry can't save the Iran deal. Iran couldn't even save the Iran deal. Of course, I guess somehow they liked the deal that kept them under our watch and under our control because they're burning our flag after we get out of it. But again, you have to understand how this all works, folks. The deep state and the globalists have had their fingerprints over all the proxy wars, over all the terrorists in the Middle East, over all of the development of war in the Middle East, and it's all coming down. And so the only way for them to cover it up is to blow the entire thing to hell. And that's what we're looking at right now. So I'm gonna stop yelling and get mad. I just get madder and madder as I think about this, and I think about the crooks behind this, like John Kerry. And we're gonna go to your phone calls. Let's start with a veteran in his own right. Let's go out to Steve in West Virginia. Go ahead, Steve. What do you think about everything that's going on right now?
I think you're right. I called in a while ago, and that's what I was going to say, what you said about Kerry. So I kind of took my phone call out there, Owen. But no, I think you're absolutely right. I think that's exactly what he went over there to do. And they want us in a war, there's no doubt about it, because like you said, it's just another big diversion from everything else. And it is an absolute shame that they're going to put more veterans' life on the line for their dirty war. It's just...
And by the way, caller, we're going to go back to you in just a minute, but Jake Lloyd, who's an Army veteran and one of our reporters, a great patriot, he just pointed out, and I'd forgotten this till Jake said it, so we're putting him back in. He was in there live earlier last hour with Owen Schroyer, investigative journalist Jake Lloyd. Israel said 2 days ago, if any proxy rockets are fired out of Syria into the Golan Heights, if they're fired out of Lebanon, they said, we are going to attack Iran. And so Jake Lloyd was just making that point to me, and I'd totally forgotten. So search that headline, crew. Again, this is all live on the gun here because this is real live coverage. Search, Israel says if there's any attacks, including rockets, they will attack Iran. Jake Lloyd, that is critical. We'll go back to the callers in a moment. Jake will ride shotgun, but go ahead.
Yeah, so this is something that I was talking about a few days ago that a lot of people didn't really pick up on it. I thought that more people would because it basically sets the stage. We're ripe for false flag attacks, anything, because during Netanyahu's his PowerPoint presentation where he said Iran lied, they said if we receive any attacks by Iran, Iranian proxy arms, Hezbollah, anybody from Lebanon, anybody from Syria, we will respond with fierce military action. And that sets up a prime battlefield for for false flag attacks, because that means that Israel could launch some rockets, and even if they don't hit anything, maybe they're caught intercepted by anti-air or anything. If they have the opportunity to do so, then they can do that, and they can say, oh, it looks like Iran attacked us. It looks like Hezbollah attacked us. It looked like somebody attacked us, and we will respond now to bring Iran into war.
And that's my point, is I'm not anti-Israel. Everybody knows that. Here's the deal. They're a lot fairer than Iran. It doesn't matter. They're trying to start a war with Iran. And it's all because of this Shiite-Sunni civil war between Saudi Arabia and between Iran. And I'm like, why are we in the middle of this? If the Iranians and the Saudis want to kill each other, fine. Why are we being sucked in the middle of this? Clearly, this is a provocation for war. And the fact that there's no coverage means they don't want opposition in U.S. news to mount to a new war. They know we didn't want to topple Syria to begin with. This is really bad.
Well, and let's apply that same logic to what we saw in Syria, where you have Nikki Haley come out and say, whatever happens in Syria, we're going to blame Assad. So, I mean, that should be totally illegal for an ambassador to say that. It should be. Yeah. I mean, that is so irresponsible. But she comes out and she says, if anything happens in Syria, we're going to blame Assad. Wow, like perfect time for a false flag. And then timely fashion, boom, false flag happens. What do? Oh, we got to blame Assad. So they're going to do that same tactic now between Iran and Israel.
Well, they're going to do the same thing.
But you don't even need to stage the false flag now, because you just directly bomb Iranian forces and keep pushing them till they respond, or their own militias they don't even control respond, or groups that are globalists respond, posing as Iranians, and we're off the races. This is really, really bad. This is the first thing Trump's done that really, really concerns me, because we can see where it's leading to.
Yeah, exactly. And the other thing that's important to understand is that it's not just Israel that wants a war with Iran. The Saudi Arabian government also wants a war with Iran, because like we were talking about earlier, the Saudi Arabians want nuclear weapons too, and they're framing it as, oh, we're only going to have nuclear weapons if Iran does. But the reality is that they want nuclear weapons too. Why wouldn't they? They want to restructure their government so that they're into the new powerhouse of the Middle East with their new 2030 vision. The Saudi Arabians want nuclear weapons. They want Iran taken out because it's the regional opposition, effectively. So they want the Iranians taken out. It would be perfect for not only Israel, but Saudi Arabia as well. Same old song and dance as Saudi Arabia having an interest in war in the Middle East. But it's in both of their interests to have all of the nations around them at war, in civil war, all these things like Alex was saying, the Sunnis and the Shias going against each other. But both of them have a vested interest in chaos in the Middle East.
Well, and I'm just trying to make sense of why this would all stem from Trump pulling out of the Iran deal. That just tells you that there's something else there. There's something else behind that.
Well, I'll tell you what it is. It's the mental illness of 7.5 billion people with 50,000 nuclear weapons and giant populations, and everybody with scores, just like people getting in fights in high school, but now we got nuclear weapons. And it's that war room from Dr. Strangelove you had punched up behind you earlier. That's what it's all about. Our military is in the damn war room. You better believe the B-1s, the B-2s, the B-52s loaded with cruise missiles and nukes are in the air. You better believe DEFCON's way higher than we even know. You better believe when this type of crap's going on and this brinksmanship, and it's not in our media for the first time in my lifetime, you better believe this is a serious time as this stuff escalates. That's what I'm telling you. I've never seen them not cover stuff like this. That tells you that they have the executive branch has basically declared civil emergency at an executive level, and that that even CNN and these globalists have now shut their mouths because the orders have been put in place. I guarantee you they got colonels and generals in charge at every major national function right now, because this is about Russia. This is about China. This is next level. So I'm not saying I'm against what Trump's doing. I'm just saying people better pray to God for peace, and they better get ready to kiss their ass goodbye if this goes the wrong way. This is big.
Well, and I think that right now, obviously, if you're in Israel where the air raid sirens are going off, your fears of war have just become a lot more real. If you're in Iran, where, you basically don't even get to decide what your government's going to do. If your government wants to go to war, they're just going to go to war, and you're just going to have to deal with that. And I feel bad for the people in Iran. I mean, I feel like the average individual in Iran doesn't want war, just like the average individual in America doesn't want war. But you've got these crazed dictators at the top. Again, and look, they'll try to pose that this is all because Trump left the Iran deal. No, this has been building for years. getting out of the Iran deal is the perfect excuse for them to try to launch this new initiative and start more war. Steve, I'm sorry. Steve in West Virginia, we cut you off earlier. Let's get a final comment from Steve before we take more of your calls on the developing situation right now in the Middle East. Go ahead, Steve.
Well, the globalists have been trying to do this for years now. They couldn't do it with Russia. They couldn't do it with North Korea. They know that we'll back Israel. It's biblical. I mean, they know that we're going to back Israel no matter what. So they're just going to keep up. And if they don't down the population of the earth one way or another, I mean, it's going to happen sooner or later anyways. That's the way I look at it, because that's what they've been pressing for the last 50 years now. So.
Yeah, I agree with that. I mean, I just sit here, and while it looks like this could lead to a larger war, even more so than what we saw in Syria, to me, this just means that, I mean, one of these countries is going to be devastated, and it's probably going to be Iran.
I hate to see any of them go, tell you the truth, but it is what it is. Well, thanks for taking your time to talk to me, and thank you all for your service.
All right, Steve. Hey, well, this is not the type of news we want to report on, but, we have to report on it. Nobody else is reporting on it. And we're just going to monitor this situation as it develops right now in Iran, in Israel, and then, of course, the situation with Saudi Arabia in there as well, and then what's been going on in Yemen. So it's all kind of coming to a head right now. Let's jump out to another caller. Let's go to Wilson calling in from Maryland. Wilson, what do you make of this mess right now in the Middle East?
Can you hear me, Owen?
Yep, go ahead.
We all need to calm down there, Harambe. Okay? This is the shiny new thing. It's all going to be okay. This is an opportunity for Trump to break out the new suppressed technology if he wants to.
Talk about new war technology?
Exactly.
Well, look, I don't think that I'm going to get struck by a bomb. I mean, I hope America doesn't get struck here, but, I mean, do you feel, I mean, you don't think that the people in Israel and Iran have real fears right now?
Well, I think Israel's been asking for it for quite some time. That's sort of their purpose in life.
To just tick off Iran, is what you're saying?
Yeah, I think we really ought to think about decapitating Iranian government regime. We don't have to take it out on the Iranian people. But we certainly.
Well, I agree with that. I completely agree with that. I guess the question is that possible?
Yes, with new technology, we can do it very easily.
Maybe we do the same thing we did to the North Korean regime type of thing?
Well, we're negotiating with them. We don't have to use it on them unless they,
Well, okay, it's a lot easier. Well, I'm saying it's a lot easier to negotiate when you say, hey, look up right now. You see that? That'll be the last thing you see. Got it, buddy?
Well, exactly. We may have used that, but I don't think we need to reveal to Kim Jong-un what we have to get him to see the light. But the Iranian mullahs are sort of irrational in their belief system. So, no sense.
Yeah, I mean, I think the mullahs are kind of irrational in a sense, but they're not suicidal. They're not suicidal because if they were, then they would have done something already. They would have attacked Israel. They would have attacked us. They would have attacked Saudi Arabia. They would have done something. So I don't think that they're insane. I think that the reason that Iran, now I'm not at all siding with the Iranians. They are a rogue nation, you could say, but I think the main reason that they feel the need to have these things is because they're afraid of what a U.S. invasion might mean. They know what happens whenever the U.S. gets involved, like Libya, Iraq, all of these other times that we've gotten rid of the leaders, so they know what happens. They also know that they have Israel right on their doorstep with nuclear weapons. They also know that they have Saudi Arabia right there that wants to take them out. So Iran has a pretty big interest in having nuclear weapons. Now, what we need to do to deter them from doing it is basically what we've done with North Korea. It's obviously a different situation because of Russia and the other Middle Eastern divisions that are going on. But we need to show them that there's no reason for they don't need a deterrent. If they were willing to play ball the way we want them to, they don't need a nuclear deterrent to keep us out. And what we need in order to convince them of that is to have Israel and Saudi Arabia agree basically to a non-aggression pact with Iran in order for them to say, okay, we're willing to not attack. That's what we did with North Korea. We said, okay, look, we're not going to invade you. South Korea is not going to invade you. We're fine. We can be peaceful. Just stop testing your nuclear weapons. We need to do the same thing with Iran. However, it's only slightly more difficult because we have the other two added kind of unknown factors of Saudi Arabia and Israel.
Any other comments, Wilson?
And I think the Iranians also have a long memory that they know that the Americans already screwed them over once with Mossadegh and the
Exactly.
Shah Pahlavi.
100%.
So we're not always acting in a good faith way, so we got to make up for that one way or another. But it's a quagmire on purpose. The Middle East is designed to be a quagmire.
Yeah, we created this. We created this whole mess
for ourselves
over the past century or so. Yeah, exactly.
All right,
yeah, and that's kind of why. Okay, Wilson. Yeah, thank you for the call. And that's kind of why when I listened to Trump's speech yesterday, when he talked about getting out of the Iran deal, and he's pointing the finger at Iran, saying you're arming terrorists, you're starting proxy wars. It's like, hey, come on, the America leads the world in that, and we don't even exist in the Middle East. So it's kind of like, we gotta call things out when it's the opportune time or when it's fair to. But this is just popping off, and yes, it has been a long time coming, and now the perfect timing is to blame Trump for going out of the Iran deal. No, this was a long time coming. John Kerry knew he was going to pull out. Iran knew he was going to pull out. So they went and they made some deal to start some larger war to distract from or cover up from whatever else it is that they want distracted and covered up. Let's take another call. Let's jump to Alex in Michigan. Go ahead, Alex.
Hey, what's going on, you guys?
What's on your mind?
It's an honor to talk to you. Shout out to your crew. They're really courteous every time I call in. Shout out to Daria and all the InfoWars ladies. And if everyone just went to InfoWarsStore.com and bought a water filter and really doubled down in support, we're going to get through this.
Well, thank you for that plug. And that's true. We're able to do this coverage, keep the crew up here extended hours with your support at InfoWarsStore.com. What was your subject today, Alex?
I agree with Zach, who called in to the Alex Jones show earlier about basically Iran having a Second Amendment. And I mean, I don't know. I don't have a problem with any Iranians. They never offended me. We should, Israel's really the problem for the Ziocons in Israel, and that's my opinion on that.
Yeah, I mean, I'm the same way where I've met people from Iran. They don't hate me. I don't hate them, but there is definitely a taste of hatred towards America in Iran from the nut jobs, just like you have here. But also, I think it's fair, too, to say, look, okay, so America gets to dictate who gets a nuclear weapon and who doesn't. So we just hold you hostage with a nuclear weapon and tell you can't get a nuclear weapon. Okay, is that our place to do? But then we step back from that with Iran, and then somehow they get mad at us for it. I mean, doesn't that just show you how this whole thing was orchestrated beforehand?
Oh, yeah, with General Wesley Clark, how many years ago saying that this was all part of the plan to topple these countries, and Iran was one of the last ones to fall, I think.
And whatever they have planned for Iran is probably not going to be any better than whatever you have there now.
No, we don't want to have a Libya situation or Egypt.
Well, that's the thing, though. That's the thing. Whenever we take out these countries, it's never replaced with anything better. Okay, we took out.
But as long as you get that central bank in there, screw it.
Exactly.
Even if it's all rubble.
Exactly. We take out Saddam Hussein. We take out the Iraqi government. We destroy stability in that region, and then we end up with ISIS. We go and we take out Muammar Gaddafi, and we take out his government in Libya, and suddenly it's absolutely crawling with terrorists. The slave trade is back up and running, back in business.
Thanks,
so
Hillary.
Every time that we go in and we topple one of these, what they call secular dictatorships, for lack of a better term, every time we go in there, you notice that we leave it with a power vacuum intentionally so that it's covered up with ISIS and Boko Haram and slave trade and stuff, because it's in our interests as well to have chaos in these regions, whether it be civil war, terrorist groups, or otherwise. It's in our best interest because it allows us to have an ever-present military project going on. It allows us to continue fear-mongering, saying, "Oh, well, we need to violate your Fourth Amendment so that we can protect against the terrorists." Blah blah blah. We're doing this on purpose. It's our purpose every time to do this, and I think it's telling that Trump hasn't killed Bashar al-Assad yet, because otherwise we would be doing the same thing in Syria. So I think it's important to see that. I'm hopeful at the moment that Trump will do the right thing when it comes to Iran, and that we won't see the toppling of the dictatorship, but rather that we will enter into a new Middle Eastern deal that'll work all of this out. I don't know. It's hard to tell at the moment, but that's the hope.
And war's big business too. I mean, war is big business. Go ahead, guys. See if you can pull up the Raytheon day rate yesterday, where Raytheon was kind of even all day long. You could probably do the same thing with Lockheed Martin, even Boeing, but wasn't as extreme as Raytheon. Where Raytheon was having a normal day, kind of ups and downs, and then boom, as soon as Trump said we're pulling out of the deal, it took a massive jump. Massive jump. This was just from yesterday. You guys are looking at the bigger picture, but you can see the big jump right there on the end. So this is what they do. I'm not a big guy into stocks, honestly, but as part of my overall news aggregation, I've been following stocks. Guys, pull that thing back up. Let me tell you. Is this Raytheon here? What was that last one you guys had up? Pull up the. Okay. So here's what I've noticed happens. And notice how it goes from really low and then jolts up really high. They knew that this was coming. People on Wall Street knew that this was coming, and so they dumped until they got Raytheon stock really low. And then as soon as Trump pulls out of the deal, boop, 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 skyrockets. Everybody just made out like bandits. So if you want to know how controlled all this stuff really is, all you got to do is monitor the stock market, and you can see how people get rich off of war. But that's an old story. Anything else, Alex?
All those stocks, and I'm investing in the cannabis stocks right now. Those are all being artificially down.
Oh, really? So now's the time to invest in that then?
Oh yeah, if you're a bear, go for it. Buy a bunch right now.
Yeah. All right, Alex. Hey, thank you so much for the call. Is that what do we got here? Okay, that's the medical marijuana deal. Yeah, he was right. Those stocks have been staying low. So that's interesting. Yeah, if you're looking into that. But that's a totally different ball game there. Let's jump out to Thomas in Maryland. Go ahead, Thomas.
Hey guys, real quick, I wanted to point out that basically Kerry went over to Iran, and I saw earlier on Reddit that him and Mueller went to high school together. So I think it's like a little bit fishy, like two buddies,
Oh no! Hold on, I'm sorry to interrupt, but let's recall this. John McCain goes to Syria. A few weeks later, this happened twice. John McCain would go to Syria, and then a few weeks later, there'd be a chemical attack. That happened twice. So this is not an old trick. This is not a new trick. This is the same thing that they always do to start war. John Kerry goes to Iran. Oh, a week or two later, there's a larger war. Just like McCain goes to Syria. A week or two later, chemical attack. These are the dirty dealers, man. These are the deep staters.
Well, it's just, I don't know if you guys have seen the movie, but Wag the Dog, it's basically that coming to fruition. And I think it's basically the deep state's last card they have, because Trump's been working with North Korea, which was always the ace in the hole for them. And Russia, and then they want to piss off Russia by, Iran attacking Iran. They want him to attack Iran to, basically attack Russia, but not attack Russia. You know what I'm saying? Basically, they hit their friends, then now we are at war with all of them. So it's just super ridiculous. I don't know.
Well, and I think about this too, where if you look at Assad in Syria, Assad is a secular leader. He doesn't want it to be Muslim. He doesn't want it to be Christian. He wants you to be able to be whatever you want. If you want to be Christian or anything in Syria. And so to that you say, okay, well, we would like that. Not that we want to pick sides, but I would say, yeah, we want a secular leader in Syria. We want secular leaders, everywhere. That's freedom. Okay, so you think Assad would be somebody that we would actually support in the Middle East? No, instead, we want to get behind Iran, which is a total Islamic dictatorship where they want to force Islam on people. And so there's so many different dynamics to this, and they all equal one thing. Somebody wants a larger war. Anything else, Thomas?
Yeah, I got one last thing. It's about the volcanoes. Is that okay to bring up real quick?
Yeah, make it quick.
Okay, real quick. So the volcano is erupting on the main island. There's a underwater landslide happening that's been happening for years called the Helena slump. You guys got to look it up. And if that falls off, it could cause a mega tsunami, which is California. You know what I'm saying?
This is a totally another issue here, but yeah, I mean, you've had hundreds of earthquakes in Spain, in Alaska, in Hawaii, in other parts of the world that is indicating something else big happening. And then these volcanoes happening too, where the earth is literally fissuring. Literally, the earth is literally breaking in half and lava is pouring up from it. This is all biblical too. I mean, this is all biblical. The earth, the volcanoes, the psycho madness in psychology, the war in the this is literally all biblical, Jake. All of it, all different angles.
Oh yeah, no, it
even
totally
Donald
is.
Trump.
It totally is, and I mean the fact that it's all taking place in the Middle East. I mean, it's been a historical site for biblical stuff, primarily because of the presence of Israel. And there's a lot of controversy. Some Christians think that Israel is it's God's will, that he favors them. I'm not going to get into all of that stuff, but one thing that's important, I can't for the life of me, I really wish that I could remember the name of this memo. Maybe the crew can look it up. I'm not giving you a lot. I don't have a lot of information, but there's a book called The Israel Lobby. There's a bunch of other stuff. And I want to reiterate, I'm not anti-Israel. It just so happens that they have a lot of their hands in this kind of stuff. And it just, I like to treat all countries the same, examining their good things and their bad things. So it's true that there was a few different men in Israel that wrote a memo for the leader of Israel talking about the countries that they would need to intervene in or topple in order to secure safety for Israel. Because, I mean, they're the only Jewish state in the Middle East. It makes sense. And their policy is basically the best defense is a good offense. So they want to keep everybody else on their toes. They want to keep them on their back heel, stepping backwards and everything. And these guys that wrote these memos said they eventually came and they were in the Bush administration. Now, the countries that they said they would have to topple include Iraq and Syria, among others. And it just so happens that as soon as Bush gets into power and these people are in his cabinet, they topple the Iraqi government. They get rid of Saddam Hussein. So, and this is a really old memo. I can't remember the name of it, but I think it was in the 90s that it was written for the Israeli government. But effectively, it was all predicted. It was the plan from the beginning. And then they got into the Bush administration because Bush was the same way. Bush wanted to topple these countries because it's the neocon. It's a lot to get into, but the neocon philosophy is nation building. It's the forcible spread of democracy.
Wait a second. But wouldn't they then need some big catastrophic event to make that happen, though? Wouldn't they need some big catastrophic
for which part?
For the Bush administration to start implementing that plan for Israel? I'm just
they do need a certain catastrophic event so that they could pin it on Al Qaeda, which has nothing to do with Iraq. And then
and Iraq and Afghanistan when it was all Saudi Arabians and Pakistanis. What was that? Was there an event like that? I can't.
I don't know I don't know, but it would probably have to be an inside job because I doubt that it would just conveniently happen that way.
Well, it would just so turn out, too, that if that were to happen, some big event during the Bush administration that would implement more Israeli foreign policy, it would also just so happen to be that Robert Mueller was the head of the FBI and was compartmentalizing all his different units and not allowing them to communicate with one another, because if he did, then they could have stopped said catastrophic event from happening. It's funny that Robert Mueller would be involved in that, too.
That's interesting. And it's also interesting that Robert Mueller had a hand in, because, in the past, FBI agents could spend their whole career in their own little jurisdiction or whatever, but Robert Mueller made it so that every FBI agent had to serve a term in Washington, D.C., the heart of the swamp. It's weird.
That is weird how all that stuff kind of adds up and comes together.
It's weird how all of these names start popping up again and again and again.
Same people is what we call it. Same people. Is this the memo? Hey, guys, was that the memo he was looking at that you just pulled up there?
That, I don't know if that's the exact memo, but that is talking about how the United States lacked a post-war Iraq plan, which is what I was talking about, how we intentionally leave a power vacuum for terrorist groups and other undesirables to take hold in the region.
All right, let's jump out to another phone call here. Let's go to JG in Colorado. Go ahead, JG.
Yeah, it's JT there, Owen.
All right, JT.
Yeah, there you got it. The one you need to blame for this would be Bibi. Kerry, I don't see how he would get Netanyahu to send missiles from talking with the people in Iran. But what, you know, and now Netanyahu is saying, well, I told everyone after Trump signed or pulled America out that there would be, if one rocket came across from the Golan Heights or across the wall.
And then it happens. Yeah, you're right. Exactly. And this is all when...
How convenient.
Yeah, and this is all when Netanyahu... This is such a joke. Let me explain something.
Hold on 1 second. Do you remember what happened? Do you remember who it was telling us that their intelligence indicated that Iraq had WMDs? Do you remember who was testifying in front of Congress that told us that? I mean, it was multiple people, but one of them went by the name of, what was his name? Oh, his name was Benjamin Netanyahu.
Mm-hmm.
And
You mean the same guy that... Listen to this. That perfectly segues into what I was going to say. The same Benjamin Netanyahu that reveals a sleeve of compact discs and says, we've got proof Iran is developing nuclear weapons. Maybe they were, maybe they weren't. Dude, anybody who's still using compact discs cannot make a nuclear weapon. I'm sorry.
Okay.
If you still are using compact discs, if you're that deep in the past, you're not developing nuclear technologies.
I was saying the same thing yesterday. I said it in like multiple videos, and I was talking to an intelligence source, and he tells me that the reason that Iran switched to compact discs is because our CIA and the Israel intelligence community, we both have technologies that can infect USB devices, and then it gets into their computer systems and it bugs it up and it tracks it and all of that stuff. So Iran actually intentionally went back to compact discs in order to avoid our intelligence systems from getting into their computers.
Well, it didn't work.
It's weird. Yeah, exactly. It didn't work because apparently we just steal the CDs now.
Yeah, apparently we can just go take the CDs. I mean, yeah.
I don't know. I don't know if I quite buy that that we just happen to stumble.
I'm not buying any of it. I don't trust Netanyahu.
No, I mean the fact we were told that there were WMDs in Iraq by Netanyahu, our own intelligence community, everybody, and turns out there were.
We got that war though.
We got that.
Boy,
war.
we got that war through.
And then we learned that there were no weapons of mass destruction.
And no apologies. So, no apologies from the Bush administration or the intelligence communities.
So I don't know why we would trust now that there are weapons of mass destruction in Iraq. Or in Iran. I don't know. It's like it's living in like some bizarro cartoon dream world where nothing makes sense and nothing is real.
Well, look, here's my take on the overall situation. I don't mind being allies with Israel. I think that that's great. Let's be allies with Israel. You know, it's tough for Israel in that region of the world. They've got a lot of haters, and I think it's good for us to have their back, protect the, that you've got a 3,000-year-old religion that's based out of Israel. I think that's fine. I'm fine. Okay, we can be allies with Israel. I have no problem with that, and I get it. However, to me, that loyalty stops when they want to start sending us to fight their wars. To me, that loyalty stops when they want to lie to us or set us up for a larger war that has no U.S. interest. That, to me, is where that loyalty and that friendship should be breaking. But it never works, does it? They just continue to do it to us.
No, doesn't work at all. This is actually a little synopsis on the project for the New American Century that the crew just printed out for us, and it's actually talking about the neoconservative think tank based in D.C. that focused on U.S. foreign policy. It was established.
Think tank.
Yeah, think tank.
Tanks.
It was established by none other than Bill Kristol and Robert Kagan, two of the biggest.
Bill Kristol, still war hawking.
On Fox News, still war hawking. I don't know why
John
anybody...
Bolton in there too. Get a little John Bolton.
Oh, that's crazy. And I mean, they say, what is
the war stash?
It says somewhere in here that they felt that conservatives were adrift in the area of foreign policy. So they advocated for a more elevated version of America's international role, and that they suggested that the United States should adopt a stance of benevolent global hegemony. America should be the benevolent dictators of the world. And it's a neo-Reaganite policy, but it's just neoconservatism.
Yeah, we're gonna benevolently bomb the hell out of you.
Yeah,
we're gonna benevolently take Saddam out of power and benevolently take the Libyan state and destroy it. That's benevolence.
Yeah, and it's the same thing. It's the same thing as these people that want to try and predict the future by influencing it. It's like how for example, Google, I don't know all of the details of this, but they have this idea with algorithms and stuff that they can effectively predict the future. And if you can predict the future, this is something that Alex has talked about before, you can implement stimuli to change things and you can effectively control what happens. They're trying to do the same thing here. They talk about, let's see, the U.S. is the world's preeminent power, said that the nation faced a challenge to shape a new century favorable to American principles and interests. And basically the way that they planned to do this was by destabilizing the rest of the world. Because if we destabilize it and we're keeping everybody freaking out constantly on the edge of everything, then we're able to step in and impose order. It's a classical authoritarian play. It's the same as how you oftentimes, enact false flag attacks so that the government can step in and say, oh, hold on, we need to come in with the military and impose martial law so we can get this thing organized. And then they just stay in power. It's the same thing, but on a global scale.
Or we need to pat you down and x-ray you anytime you want to get an airplane now.
Right. It's, in the name of national security. What are you, a terrorist?
We got to spy on everyone too. Yeah, you're not a terrorist until we know you're not a terrorist.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's how it works now. And that is what's going on. And here's the thing. It's easy to be phlegmatic about this stuff and to not be impacted by it because it goes on overseas and you don't read about it or you don't see it. But you got to understand something. Eventually, this is going to come back to bite us if we don't fix this. Eventually, this is going to make us look bad if we don't come back and fix this. And leading the way in being sick of this that could actually do something is Russia. And Russia's sick of it. Russia's sick of the United States implementing Israel's foreign policy and stepping on Iran and stepping on their allies in Syria. So I understand, again, let's be allies with Israel. Let's, if we want to protect Israel from Iran or any of that, that's fine. But as soon as we start going to war for Israel based on bad information, that's bad. That's what we have to stop. And it looks like maybe that's going on. I don't know. All we know is same story. You've got bombs flying from Iran, bombs flying from Israel, bombs flying from Syria, into Israel, into Iran, from Saudi Arabia, into Yemen, from Yemen. So this is all popping off now. And if the mainstream media covers it, they're going to blame this whole thing on Trump. Let's take another call here. Let's go out to Dean in Wisconsin. Go ahead, Dean.
Hi, Owen. How's it going?
It's going good.
Hey, I just wanted to say, I mean, I'm Benny, maybe, he's probably been there a little bit too long in Israel. But
Netanyahu?
Yeah.
Yeah, he's been in power for, I think, over 20 years now.
Yeah, like 25 years. Yeah. I get that. But what I'm saying is, worldwide, the Israelis, they contribute way more to humanity than the third world countries that surrounding them and that beat them down every day.
Expand on that. What do you mean by that?
Well, like Saudi Arabia, they have rough on their women. They hate gays. They're not really helping humanity. Israel is way far on technology as far as prosthetics, cancer treatment. I mean, they're, technology-wise, they're a lot better.
Okay, so you're saying, what's your point, though?
I'm saying is that, everybody's kind of, coming down on Israel a little bit hard, maybe Netanyahu, maybe you can't really blame him all too much, I don't think, because he might have gave us bad intelligence, but we should be smart enough to know that was bad intelligence.
Well, I won't disagree with you there. No, I'm not going to disagree with you there. But, of course, they knew it was bad intelligence. They didn't care.
Right. So I'm saying that people of Israel, you have to feel bad when you have to walk around with a AR-15 to go to the mall,
Well, look, in Israel, kids. If you have to go through military training in Israel unless you declare Jewish orthodoxy, then you have to be, full on practicing Orthodox Jew. Otherwise, you have to go through that military training. There's a huge commitment that they have to deal with.
Yeah, nobody's saying that it's the people of Israel's fault. It's our government and the Israeli government. It's all of these governments working together. I mean, we knew that Netanyahu's testimony was false when he gave us the WMD talk in 2002 prior to the Iraq War. Our government knew that was false, but we were like, hey, Netanyahu, look, we want to go to war. We want to take out Saddam Hussein. give us some spiel about how they have weapons of mass destruction, and we'll, stoke up the fear of the
they
people.
did 9/11. They want to kill us.
We'll make the people think, we have to go get rid of these WMDs. So it was a coordinated effort between our government and the Israeli government. So it's not the people of Israel, just the same as the people of America don't want these false flags. We don't want 9/11, but it happened anyways with criminal elements within our government. So it's not the people's fault. It's the government. And our government and Israel's government are in coordination in sinister ways. So that's the issue that we're talking about here.
Right. I understand that. But what I'm saying is that whether it's Netanyahu or the next leader of Israel, they're going to have to look out for their people no matter what, because they're getting poked by the bear all the time.
I would say that they're the ones kind of poking the bear, though.
I think it goes both ways.
I think they poke each other. I think Iran is poking them. Israel's poking them back. They're both poking each other. It's not a one-way thing. Israel's not an innocent country sitting around. I mean, they've both done bad things. They both could be capable of good things if they would stop the war thing. So it's. I wouldn't say that it's just so easy to say, oh, poor Israel, they're so victimized.
Well, I would say this, though. I would say this. People in the Middle East, whether it be through propaganda or through a deeper understanding of the geopolitics, understand what the United States has done in the Middle East and that it's been Israel's foreign policy. So what happens is, because Israel is right there in the neighborhood, they just go to Israel's door and they start throwing rocks at Israel's door while we're safely, barricaded in the neighborhood with a 30-foot fence 500 miles away. Mm-hmm. So you see the real hatred at the border of Israel when they move the embassy to Jerusalem and 1,000 Iranians go to the border, the Gaza Strip, and start throwing things and attacking Israeli forces.
Right. And even when they let people come in to work from there and they go in there and stab people and this and that, I mean, it's not like they're the hate mongers or anything like that. But like you said, it's on both sides, I guess, a little bit. But
well, look, and I can't walk. Here's the deal, too. I can't walk down the streets of Iran. I'll probably get killed.
Yeah, right, me neither. But I wouldn't choose to go there either,
Of course not. But at that same token, a lot of Iranians come to America to study. That's where I met my only Iranian friends, was people that came here to study.
Right.
And the truth of the matter is they kind of hate us. I mean, in all honesty, they were nice to me. They liked people. They're good people, but they kind of hate America. I mean, that's what they've been taught to believe. Whether it's justified or not, that's kind of an underlining propaganda that they're taught all through their life.
Yes, exactly. And right now, I think the big thing for them is that, like you were saying earlier, there must be some kind of shadow deal on that Iranian deal where the money is getting cut off now. That's why they're mad. No.
That's it exactly. They never stopped their nuclear program. Okay, they never stopped their nuclear program. What stopped, or what has stopped now, is we're no longer giving them billions of dollars.
Right.
That's what they're ticked about, and what they're afraid of is that we might actually launch an investigation into this Iran deal and discover what was really behind it. And what was that? John Kerry and Barack Obama colluding with Iran to send them money from U.S. taxpayers and then pretend like they were trying to stop them from developing a nuclear weapon to appease Israel. The whole thing was fake. The whole thing was a sham, and they were bending us over and taking our wallet the whole time.
Exactly, yeah. And Owen, I want, from now on, when you talk about money, you can use what you did when it was Diamond and Silk at Congress. When he was
money.
Where's
all the money?
Money.
Show me the money.
I laughed so hard when I heard you do that. Like,
yeah. Iran, haven't you made a lot of money off of all of the oil out there?
Run with it from now on while you talk about it. Money. Well, anyway,
all right.
I'll let you guys go. I'll wrap it up. Thank you for having my call. I watch your show every day.
All right, Dean. Thank you. That is, but seriously, Iran was getting all of our money. That's what the whole deal was about. Iran getting our money and then pretending that they weren't developing a nuclear weapon to appease Israel when Obama and Kerry knew they were doing that anyway. This really is, the more you start to think about it, this really is total criminal action by Obama and Kerry to let Iran lie about their nuclear development program and then give them billions and billions of dollars to do it. That's why Iran is pissed. Let's take another phone call here. Let's jump over to Wilson in Maryland. Go ahead.
Okay, Owen. How's it going? We have to deconflict our thinking on this deep state thing. Yesterday you said it would be great if Trump would just let them slink off and run off into the sunset and we could make America great again. But today we want to hang them from the nearest tree.
Whoa. Hold on. Let me clarify here. I said I believe that Trump would like them to do that. That Trump would be okay, and he even wants them to just be like, look, just go away. I won't even arrest you. I won't look into it. Just go away forever, and let me fix the country. Now, me, on the other hand, I look at this situation and I say, if this was the 19th or 18th century, these people would be hung from the highest tree outside of the state building.
Yes, but in the world we live in, they could plot against us from afar.
So what's your point today?
I'm just saying we can't let these people go. We have to man up and say this is something we're not going to put up with anymore, and we're going to confiscate their wealth because that's where their power comes from, and we have to prosecute them. We don't have to be vindictive in terms of killing them, but we can't let them go to other places where they can.
But now hold on. Let's hone in on this. Let's get a little more descriptive here. Let's use an example. John Kerry. Now, I guarantee you, if someone did an investigation into John Kerry with the same limitless scope that Robert Mueller has into Trump, you could find crimes committed by John Kerry. Maybe it's money laundering, maybe it's this, maybe it's greater crimes of war, lying under oath, lying to the American people. So no, I just want to explain what you're saying here, and let's make an example. So we should have done that to John Kerry, and John Kerry should have been arrested months ago, and then John Kerry doesn't go over to Iran and start some sort of thing over there because he knows Trump's getting out of the Iran deal. So if you locked up John Kerry before, he doesn't get to start this bigger war by going over to Iran and stabbing America and Israel in the back.
Right, but these people have been operating outside of our constitutional laws for over a century, and we make the mistake of playing by the rules when it comes to going after them. So we get hung up in the legal system, and the statute of limitation runs out, and they get away through bribing judges. We have to go to military tribunals. We may have to make these people disappear to Gitmo or other places. When they just start suddenly disappearing, they'll start running. But we still have to hunt them down.
Yeah, that's a good point. I mean, people do need to see that there are repercussions for the kind of stuff that these people are doing. The other day, I tweeted that our ancestors went to war over some taxes they didn't like, and we're still convincing ourselves that we need to be nice and polite when there are speech restrictions, religious violations, property rights violations. The Fourth Amendment has been violated. They're restricting
half the country wants more taxes.
They're restricting our guns. So it's like I don't know exactly what the answer is. I don't know exactly what to do, but we're either too afraid or too lazy to actually do something. I think that our ancestors probably would have been at war again a long time ago.
They wouldn't have been at war. They'd have already been done with war. And like I said, some of these people would be hung from the highest tree. Wilson, thank you so much for the call. Here's the deal. It's 6:53 Central Time. We're going to stay on here for at least 10 more minutes, but I want to do something real quick. And I know it's late over there and this might not be possible, but if we have anyone listening in Iran or in Israel, call in now and we'll put you to the front of the line. So if you're in Israel or if you're in Iran and you're listening right now, let's get your take on this. Let's hear from you. And again, I don't know if anyone's listening. It's late over there. We'll see if anybody calls in, but I just wanted to throw that line out there. If you're listening in Israel or Iran, call in 1-888-201-2244, and we'll get your opinions. But real quick, let's jump out to Dan in Canada. Go ahead, Dan.
Hello.
Yeah, go ahead.
Hello, Owen. And hello, Jake Lloyd. Good to talk to you. Just wondering, what do you see? How does this pan out with Israel, firing the rockets and stuff into Iran, or is it Syria? And I'm kind of concerned. I'm here sitting back, and the only news I get is from InfoWars. I'm an Info warrior. I've been watching InfoWars for like 25 years, and the thing is, where's this going? That's my question. Where do you think this is going? from Jake and you too, Owen.
You know, I'm not entirely sure. I keep saying for people not to panic. I've made multiple videos on this, keeping up with the updates, the evolving circumstances in the Middle East, especially with Iran, Israel, and Saudi Arabia. So I've been saying that people need to not panic because there will be heightened tensions. There will be increased in the intensity of the rhetoric. So what I'm saying at the moment is to stay calm, because at the moment, Iran is bombing the Golan Heights, which, according to international law, I heard earlier from Harrison Smith, another one of our reporters, it's not technically in Israel. Israel is occupying it at the moment. They do have military entities there, but it's not Israel itself. So at the present moment, Iran has not bombed Israel proper. So that's an important note. I do think that Israel and Iran will continue with these skirmishes. You'll notice if you look in recent history in the news, Israel has shot down Iranian drones and other things like that. So this is not the first time that they've come in to military contact in some form of skirmish. So what I would say, my prediction for the current moment is that this will kind of reach a little bit of a fever pitch where things seem to be really bad, and then it'll kind of cool down to a simmer. And then what we'll see is the president will step in. I don't know. It could boil over, but I'm predicting that will not happen. What we'll probably see is it'll reach a simmer. The president will step into the situation, probably using leverage, talking with Russia, because Russia backs Iran. So we'll probably pull the leash on Israel a little bit. Russia will pull the leash on Iran, and we'll probably see the beginning of a new Middle Eastern deal, which will tell Iran, stop building nukes. It'll tell Saudi Arabia, don't start building nukes. Stop funding terrorism against Iran and Iranian proxies. We'll probably tell Israel, stop going to war with everybody around you. Stop bombing everybody at the slightest notice. Basically, world powers coming together and telling their littler, less powerful friends, cool it. We'll probably just tell them to cool it and chill out. And if we can do that, I think that we'll see a new deal in the Middle East, which will bring a new level of peace. Now, I don't want to say that it will be total peace as we'd consider it in Europe or America, but it'll be peace relative to what we've seen so far.
Well, they've set a nice precedent, though, the Obama administration, for Iran to say, oh, we're going to try to make nukes unless you give us hundreds of billions of dollars. So that's a nice precedent that the Obama administration created there. So who knows?
Great. Am I still on?
So yeah, thank you for the call, Dan. So who really knows where that goes? But I'll just say this, a question that comes to my mind while we hear about missiles being launched into Syria, missiles launched into Iran, missiles coming in and out of Saudi Arabia, in and out of Yemen, Israel and all this stuff. Who do you think manufactures those missiles? Whose missiles do you think those are? How much do you want to bet that these missiles flying from country to country are probably all manufactured in the United States?
Oh, you bet. You bet 100%. I mean, the military-industrial complex is the reason that we have this problem today. Because in World War I, we had people funding. But basically, World War I, we had people from America funding both sides of the war. They say, hey, we can make some money like this. So they set up the treaty to where World War II will inevitably break out. They do the same thing again. And then they realize that we will not be able to have world wars on that scale. So they turn their attention away from that. And instead they focus on creating these tiny little proxy wars, these endless proxy wars, whether it be to fight back communism or after the fall of the Soviet Union to fight back terrorism, which we also create. So we create these little proxy wars, whether it be Iraq, Afghanistan, all of them are at the creation of the military-industrial complex and the CIA in order to make money, in order to fund both sides to make money. So it's the same thing here.
So all these countries firing all these missiles probably all developed in the United States. So here's one outcome for you. The United States gets rich. All right, let's jump out to Ben calling in from Iran. Glad to have you on, Ben. Go ahead.
Yes, hello?
Yeah, you're live on the air.
Yes, hi, everyone. I don't know what exact question you want to ask.
Well, what do you think about what's going on between Iran and Israel right now, and the fact that there's air raid sirens in Israel, there's missiles going in and out of Iran and Syria and Saudi Arabia? I mean, what is your take on everything?
I think if Israel want to reply, if they want to reply to these missiles, they should reply to Iran, not to Syria. If really the Israeli government believe that these missiles are coming from Iran, not from Syria, so they should reply to Iran, not to Syria. Because I think that I'm not sure whether the Iranians are conducting these airstrikes or the Syrians, as a reflection of what happened yesterday from the Israeli government. Because the Israeli government attacked yesterday, as I heard, some Syrian camp or something. I'm not sure what it is.
Ben, what do you make of Iran being so upset that Trump voided the Iran deal? Why was Iran so upset about that?
I'm not sure whether they are upset, but of course they will be upset because now the sanctions will be again applied on Iran. Of course they will be upset.
But the deal that Trump voided already had all the sanctions in it and said that you couldn't develop a nuclear weapon.
Ben's talking about economic sanctions as well as other military sanctions. We're basically reverting back to saying, like, okay, now we're going to be putting pressures on Iran again to make sure that they can't afford to build a nuclear weapon. Is that right, Ben?
I didn't understand your question.
Oh, I'm just trying to figure out why Iran was upset that Trump voided the deal. Is it because they're not going to get hundreds of billions of dollars, or because they don't want to develop a nuke?
I think because the money and also because of the sanctions, many Iranian companies and international companies will not be able to freely do trade like what we used to do. This is one. Another thing is, yes, because they made the deal, and it's hard to make a deal in Iran with these close-minded people who are in control of the regime to get a deal. And finally, when they get the deal, Trump announced the withdrawal from the deal. So yes, they will be upset, and they want to now they are going to convince their own people that America is the evil regime that we are telling you about.
So it would make sense then. I think it makes sense, the financial thing, where they're not getting the money from U.S. because we pulled out of the deal. And then on the back end with the new sanctions, it's going to be even tougher for them to build themselves economically. Ben, you're calling in from Iran. What do you think about the Iran regime? Do you think that the regime needs to take a step aside, or do you think that the current regime knows what's best for the world and for Iran?
No, the current regime is not a good regime. I will tell you frankly. But yes, and Trump was right when he said that they are taking care of the military more than what they are taking care of the people. But on the same side, Trump also didn't show initiatives to show the Iranian people that, yes, America cares about you. But what he has done with for example, the visa ban is just to punish Iranians, not to punish the regime. Because the regime or anybody from Iran, a diplomatic Iranian, will be able to visit from the U.S., for example, but not the usual normal Iranian. So now when Trump is talking about, okay, we care about the Iranian people, I don't think this is true. Okay, and also, on the other hand, it's true when he said that the Iranian regime cares more about what? About the military more than the people.
Yeah, I actually think that you're right, because when I listened to Trump's speech, I got a little upset where he's pointing the finger at Iran for funding terror and proxy wars when the United States is probably the best at doing that. And that doesn't look good to the Iranian people that know the United States do that. But so what do you think the solution is if the current regime in Iran is not going to do anything to help the Iranian people, but instead empower themselves? What's the solution there?
What's the solution? I am not sure what's the solution, but now what Trump is doing is just what he gets out of the visit of Mohammed bin Salman, the Prince of Saudi Arabia, after he had a visit to France, the UK, And the U.S. after this visit, the airstrike was conducted on Syria. So now Trump is trying to please the Saudis, and in the same time he's saying that Iran is supporting Al Qaeda, which is not true. We all know that Saudis are supporting Al Qaeda, and the 9/11 report show that there is a financial support from the Saudis. Iran have never supported Al Qaeda. Yes, Iran support, for example, Hezbollah in Lebanon and Houthis in Yemen, but they are not supporting Al Qaeda. For example, if we are talking about Yemen, and the Houthis are fighting against the Al Qaeda, and who is supporting Al Qaeda is the U.S. and the Saudis.
Yeah. Same thing in Syria. That's why they want Assad out of power.
Yeah, and the same in Syria. So that is not right. So Trump got it right in what he said, that the Iranian regime is evil regime and taking their people hostage, which is right. I completely agree with him. But he's not right that he's saying that Al Qaeda, and he's trying the withdrawal of the. I think the withdrawal of the deal is not good for Iran and not good for the U.S. No, maybe it will be not good for the U.S.
Ben,
I'm not sure what will happen. What is the plan? If Trump has a good plan, yes. But I will, for example, I will truly see if, for example, the U.S. or Israel really attack Iran. But now they are attacking Syria. Why are you attacking Syria if you believe that Iran is the one who is conducting the airstrikes? Okay.
Well, they want to go to war in Syria over the oil pipelines and stuff. Ben, in your opinion, why does the Iranian regime want to build nuclear weapons?
Why the Iranian just to be strong, like any other country? Why any other country, for example, want to protect themselves? I don't think they will conduct, for example, airstrike. To use the nuclear power to hurt any other nation. I don't think so, because nuclear.
So you think it's defensive and not offensive?
Sorry.
You think that it's a defensive? You think it's a defensive tactic, not an offensive tactic?
Yeah, and it's a poor defensive. 30 years until now, they couldn't do a thing. If we talk, for example, Iran is a rich nation. They are not poor. They are using.
Oh yeah, and there's a lot of oil over there too, and the people of Iran. Yeah, the people of Iran are getting not enough from those benefits. Hey, Ben, would you mind just holding for a minute here? Hey, guys, just put Ben on hold. I want to keep Ben on, but I want to jump over to Haim calling in from Israel, and let's get his take on this, and keep Ben on the line. Haim, what is your take on this conversation tonight?
Yeah, I'm from Israel. Hi. Just want to say that I hear a lot of things that you say about.
All right. I'm sorry, sir, but I'm having a really difficult time understanding you. Are you on speaker, or is there any way that we can maybe?
No, you hear me okay right now?
It's tough. Go ahead.
Okay, so I hear a lot of things that you say about Israel and the United States. First thing, I think that Iran is the bad guy in the world. I think. Just imagine that I don't know, maybe Syria or another country have missiles in Mexico, and they are pointing to United States. What do you think that the United States think about it? Do you think that they don't do nothing and don't attack the missiles? I don't think it's going to happen. Israel just protect themselves, and this is the whole story. Just we need to protect ourselves because Iran want to destroy us. That's it. This is the whole story, and Iran don't need to be a nuclear weapon because they want to destroy that. That's it.
So now so you're saying that you believe Iran wants to develop a nuclear weapon to strike Israel. Am I hearing you right?
Yeah.
Okay, now let's put him on hold, and I want to hear Ben's take on this, because he just said he thinks it's more of a defensive tactic. Now, again, this is someone from Israel worried that Iran wants to develop a nuclear weapon to strike Israel. Ben calling in from Iran. What do you say to that?
I said to that, do you think the Iranians are so stupid to use their poor, for example, arm system or nuclear missile that they are using against Israel when they know that they have the most technological advanced missiles and technology supported by the U.S.? They can, for example, remove Iran from the map if they try to hurt Israel or to hurt the U.S. So I don't think Iranis will touch Israel.
So essentially, Iran is not suicidal and understands that if they struck Syria, they'd be wiped off the map. Okay, a good response from Ben. Let's put Ben on hold, and let's go back over to Haim in Israel. What is your take on that?
Look, this night, Iran attacked Israel with 20 missiles, and Israel again protected itself. And this is the story. Iran used Syria to attack Israel all the time and collect intelligent information about Israel. This has happened a lot of time from Syria, and this is the whole story. All the time, Israel don't attack any country just like this. We always protect ourselves from these countries. So maybe Iran is not want to suicide, but
all right. Well, hey, thank you for the call. We're having trouble with your phone line. If you want to try to get a better connection, we can try that. But just hearing from Ben and hearing from Haim in Israel, you can tell that the people get differing messages.
Yeah.
And when you have that, when you have each people getting a different message and a different view of the other, it's going to be impossible to come to the table, especially if they're based off lies and propaganda. So, of course, if people of Israel think that Iran is just out to kill them and blow them up, well, then they want to do anything to stop Iran. But people in Iran are saying, look, we understand our government's corrupt. We don't want to blow you up. That's not what we're in this for. But the people of Israel just don't believe it because they do see some of the hatred, and then they see some of the radical elements that go to the Gaza Strip and try to take on Israeli forces. So there's a lot of mixed messages. Sorry we had to drop him in Israel. His phone connection was bad. Let's just give Ben in Iran a final word here before we let you go. Thank you for calling in, Ben. Just what's your final take on everything?
My final take is that the people of Iran do not think like the people in Israel or in the U.S. As you said, that there is a propaganda. And maybe because you live in the U.S., you have different perspective than us. And the people, and because you are also exposed to this propaganda. For example, Alex Jones was talking about, I was always following Alex, but when Trump comes to power, he's turned 100% with Trump. Even though Trump is doing some mistakes, he will not tell Trump.
Well, to be fair, let's be fair though. We've called out Trump's mistakes or what we believe are mistakes in foreign policy, but we have to support Trump because he's the first president we've ever had that's actually real and doesn't want to bring America to its knees. So that's behind our support for Trump. But
he still supports the Saudis, okay, and which I believe that always Alex is against, for example, any involvement or any support of the U.S. military to the Saudis. Why would? Okay.
No. You're right. And Trump's one of the first foreign policy deals was Trump sold a bunch of weapons to the Saudi Arabians. So you are right about that. Final question I have for you, Ben, and I promise we'll let you go. Thanks for calling in. Do you think this is for you? That you're the only one that I know that could answer this. Can the people of Iran do something to get a regime change, or can the people of Iran, do something to quell some of this hatred that's going on towards Iran and towards Israel? Can the people of Iran do something to beat this propaganda and remove your corrupt regime?
Okay, let me tell you something. The people of Iran, you can't say that they are dividing, for example, to 30% with the regime or 20% with the regime, and the rest are against the regime. And when you say that we have hatred to Israel, we don't hate Israel. Why would we hate Israel? No, we don't hate Israel. We hate our government because our government is corrupted and they are wasting the money of the country and of the oil instead of building the economy, instead of enriching their own people. They are developing a nuclear, which is a failed program, which we will not benefit. And in the end, all these, for example, nuclear or military equipment will not benefit the country, any country, even the U.S. If you see the U.S., you have a large budget for the military, and in the end, the people of the U.S. people are not, the American people are not benefiting from this military spending. It's the same in Iran. We don't support what the government is doing, but we are forced. We don't have the say. We don't have a say to tell the government what to do. We don't have even a true election.
So then I ask you this. So would you, I'm not saying that I want this, I'm just asking, if the United States decided to do something to remove the current regime in Iran from power, would the Iranian people support that or not want us involved in that?
I don't think the U.S. will do this.
But would you support, but do you think the Iranian people would support that?
What do you mean by regime change?
The current regime that's in power, that oppresses the people and steals all the money from the oil, if they were removed and you had a real leader in there that wanted to share the wealth and build Iran up as a free nation?
Yeah, of course we will support that, but I don't think it's easy like what you are. We saw what happened in Iraq. We saw what happened in Libya. We saw what happened in
so there'd be no reason. So essentially, there'd be no reason to trust us coming in to do that.
Not trust, yes. Not trust the U.S. Trust any other country to involve in. Yes, if for example the people empower themselves, like what happened in the for example in the riots before 3 months, 5 months. Yes.
Well, here's the thing, too. I don't think that Russia or China is going to try to get a regime change because they like the current powers that be, because they're actually benefiting from them financially. But Ben, we got to jump to another caller. I want to thank you for calling in. I think that you were a very powerful caller. I hope that we hear from you again. And I would say, I think one answer to this would be to hear from more people in Iran, to hear from more citizens in Iran, and to hear from more people in Israel. You just heard from Ben. I've met people from Iran. They don't want more wars. They don't want war with Israel. They just want Iran to have its own culture and have its own free country, but they understand that they're being oppressed by a corrupt government, just like most other nations. So I don't see anywhere else where you hear from Iranians other than right here. So I'll just say this. Anytime Ben wants to call in, or anybody else from Iran or anybody else from Israel that wants to try to really talk about this and promote a message of peace. See, if you have citizens in America and Israel and Iran all shouting peace, we want peace, no more wars, no more lies, none of this, we just want peace, we want to be in control of our countries, maybe that's how we can break through this matrix of military-industrial complex and corrupt governments that have their own agendas with these huge budgets that don't actually benefit any of the citizens. Jake, what's your take on all that?
I think that's true, and I don't remember who I heard it from the other day, but it might have been Steve Pachenik. I don't think so, but they were talking about the idea that we're getting conflicting propaganda from our own respective governments. We are told that Iran wants to get a nuclear weapon in order to destroy Israel and then destroy the United States. The Iranian people are told that they need a nuclear weapon because they are under imminent threat of destruction from Israel and the United States.
Yeah, that's a perfect storm, isn't it?
Exactly. We were both told the opposite thing, and it's a perfect recipe for war. So that's kind of the dilemma.
Get rich off.
Exactly. Another motivation for the war, and not even to mention the endless destabilization that something like that brings which only leads to more war. So it's a perfect storm of chaos and war, which will continue to fuel the military-industrial complex. What we need to do is break through the wall of the propaganda on both sides so that both sides can get the truth and we can both realize that, one, Iran, like Ben said, is not a suicidal country that wants to destroy itself. It knows that if it attacks Israel in earnest, that we and Israel will both destroy it and wipe it off the face of the planet. And also that if Iran needs to realize that the United States is not going to destroy Iran any minute. However, that needs to be the reality. We need to make it the reality that Iran is not under imminent threat of the United States. Unfortunately, at the moment, that's not the case because we do still have these neocon elements within our government that would like to do that.
And
so we need
and they're still trying to promote the war in Syria.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So we need to change our own government and get these pro-war elements out of our government before we can convince Iran to trust us.
Great call from Ben in Iran. Thank you for calling in and voicing your opinion. That's good stuff. We need more of that. All right, here's the deal, crew. We'll take these last two callers, and then we'll sign off of our special extended coverage here at Infowars.com/show of everything that's developing in the Middle East right now. Really enjoyed hearing from Haim in Israel and Ben in Iran. Thank you guys for calling in. All right, Dennis and Chaz, you guys are going to close us out. Let's go to Dennis in Kentucky. Go ahead.
How you doing? Can you hear me?
Yep, you're on air. Go ahead.
All right. The Iran deal was the all you're seeing right now is all these different factions that were supported and funded through that Iranian deal, which Trump pulled out of. Listening to the last two callers you had on from Israel and Iran, both of them are saying the same thing, which lets you know they have their own CNN there. If we take a step back and look at the whole thing, the only reason all of this blew out of proportion is because the money was withdrawn, correct? So if the money is withdrawn,
that's what looks like the big deal. Yeah.
The money is withdrawn, so none of these people know what to do. They don't know who they're supposed to be attacking because, look like Senator McCain is about to die and he wants everybody not to attend his funeral. And, look at John Kerry over there trying to tell people what to do. If everybody just take a step back and look at the bad actors on all sides, because they're all bad actors involved in this. Let's be clear about it.
No, and I think that you identify two names, McCain and Kerry, that I don't trust as far as I can throw them. Who's to say that they don't go overseas and meet with whatever warmongers or terrorists or whoever it is that they're meeting with and give some intel to them or get some intel to them and then come back here and lie about it because they have interest in war? I wouldn't be shocked if that's what's going on. In fact, I'd bet on it.
Hillary took down Libya. McCain was in Syria. Kerry was in Iran. Bush was in Afghanistan. It all makes perfect sense. It all makes perfect sense. You just witnessed the cabal.
Yep.
That's all.
And I'll tell you what, if Hillary Clinton was president, we would have already taken down Syria and destroyed it, and Iran would be next.
Oh, there's no doubt about that. But the whole thing is that I hope everybody can take Trump with the good and the bad because he's the beacon of shining light for the United States of America. If it's only one thing that you can get behind, and it probably won't be everything that he says or does, but his heart is in the best interest. The man is the only president I've seen that invokes God in everything. Think about these things. You have to take the good with the bad and understand that at least this man has never, ever told you a full-faced lie. Can you say that about any other president?
Well, I do feel he lied to us about chemical attacks in Syria, and that's probably the biggest lie. I don't really know about anything too big other than that.
I can't even call it a lie because I have to look at they won't allow him to get everything. I can't call it a lie if the man didn't honestly know. I'm going to say that he didn't honestly know. That's why the White Hats were defunded. I mean, you have to look at everything.
No, I completely agree. I completely agree. And then the subject here that you called in was let them have it out. You know, I'm kind of that same notion. Because to me, it's like, I'm just done with the United States nation building and spending all this money overseas. Like, screw that, okay? I got 10 dozen potholes every time I want to drive a mile, all right? So let's do something about this. And then the other angle, too, is, Hey, thank you for the call, Dennis. I'm sure we'll hear from you again. I got to jump and get to another call here and shut this out. Some of the crew members have been here for more than 10 hours today. Another thing to me, Jake, is I'm kind of the mindset that's like, look, this is a disaster, okay?
Yep.
Trying to solve it at this point is almost futile. You know what I'm saying? So it's just like, look, these things are persisting. Who knows what the solution is, but let's just get it done. Like, okay, let's just do whatever we can to force this situation to conclude, whatever that means. And let's have America's best interest in that. But whatever happens, this has been ongoing. This has been out of control. This has been an issue. Let's just wipe our hands with it and say, all right, whatever happens here happens. Figure this crap out. It's time to figure this out. It's been going on way too long.
Yeah, you're right to say that it's not going to be resolved within the current arrangement of things, and that's because of the U.S.'s willingness to get involved in these foreign conflicts. What needs to happen, I think the only way that we can do what you're saying and just end it, just get it done, is the United States needs to stop meddling. We need to tell Israel and Saudi Arabia to stop interfering, to stop with this, to stop with their, it's not really nation building. They're just kind of injecting chaos into their enemies' countries, whether directly or through proxy wars. We need to tell Saudi Arabia and Israel to stop doing that. We need to talk to Russia and have Russia tell Iran and Syria, don't do anything that's going to make tensions rise. Don't flare anything up. Don't stir the pot at all. So we both need to do that. Basically, we're going to do it. We're going to have to do it through diplomacy with Russia.
No, I think that's the key. It really, and why haven't we had that yet? Why there needs to be a huge summit between Putin and Trump. Like that is a must.
Part of it, we have to figure out how this whole pipeline situation is going to go in Syria, because part of the reason that Syria,
Which is why British gets involved, because they're going to be the ones where it goes.
Right, because that's a big issue, because part of the reason that we want to be in Syria is because we have this idea of this pipeline that's going to go up from the Gulf states north, and then Russia wants a track to the Mediterranean. So that requires Syria for both of them. So it's going to take us compromising with Russia in some way, whether it's getting a deal with Russia and Syria or what, I don't know. But that's probably the reason that we haven't arrived at a deal yet.
Now it all makes sense. Now you see why they're demonizing Russia and trying to put all this garbage in front of Trump of Russian collusion so that he doesn't get a deal done with Russia, because that is the key.
Yeah.
I mean, that really is the key. If you have détente with Russia, you actually probably can solve a lot of this Middle East crap, because you can just get out and Russia can get in and deal with it.
That is the key, because Russia and America are the two biggest powers in the world right now, the two most influential, because Britain and Germany, where they're allied with us, it's really because they're kind of kowtowing to us.
And China just kind of sits back and does the currency manipulation and steals all the manufacturing.
Right.
They don't really do the
global. We're the global Western hegemony, and Putin is kind of this bridge between Asia and Europe, and they're doing their own thing. So if the United States and Russia were on the best terms that they could be in, we could effectively control everything. We could make sure that we're all in agreement in Europe. We could do the same thing. We could control the Middle East. Russia could leverage its power on China if the U.S. was also leveraging its power in China. So if the United States and Russia were actually best friends, and we were actually leveraging our power together, it could effectively put an end to this neocon global warmongering that we see. Now, I don't want people to get
at least move it in the right direction.
Yeah, and I don't want people to get the misconception that Russia is like this righteous, holy nation that does nothing wrong. They're not amazing in that area either. They have some human rights violations and stuff, but overall, it would be much better for us to work with Russia than it would be for the current paradigm to continue.
All right, final caller, and we're going to sign things off here. An hour and a half extended broadcast. Thanks to the crew. Please support us at InfoWarsStore.com. Ladies and gentlemen, that's how we're able to do all of this stuff. When you support us at InfoWarsStore.com, we can hire more crew. We can do more live broadcasts. We can get more reporters. We can do it all. We can travel more. It's all thanks to your support at InfoWarsStore.com. I don't even think I plugged once during this extended hour and a half broadcast, so I'm a bad boy. So make up for my mistake. Please go to InfoWarsStore.com. Support us. 50% off DNA Force Plus, 40% off Icarin, 50% off Bod Ease, 50% off all Super Blue fluoride-free tooth products, mouth products, oral care products. It's all at InfoWarsStore.com. Ball hats, T-shirts, DVDs, documentaries, books. I mean, seriously, if you can't find something you like at InfoWarsStore.com, you haven't tried. So please support us at InfoWarsStore.com, and you have Alex's word. More coverage, more crew, more reports, more on the road, more live broadcasts. That's what Alex Jones' plan is with your support at InfoWarsStore.com. All right, Chaz in New York, close us out for this evening. Go ahead.
All right, I'm on. Okay, so I'm a dual U.S. Israeli citizen, born in the U.S., and went to Israel to live with family. And my dad's over there right now in a nursing home in a Tel Aviv suburb. And a lot of my friends were messaging me today, saying to me, it might sound selfish of us, but we're glad that you're over here right now. And I'm just like, I lived through Operation Protective Edge in 2014, which, by the way, was a U.S.-Iran proxy war. U.S. funding the Israeli side, Iran funding the Hamas side. And that's kind of what I wanted to get into, because Hamas has been riling up things again.
Yeah, and by the way, that has all these ties to Linda Sarsour, who's over here mucking things up. But that's a side issue.
Exactly. I've gotten into arguments with her on Facebook, by the way. She's a total hypocrite. But anyways, this could be a multi-front war for Israel. They were saying just a couple of years ago that Hamas had the military capability that it did right before Operation Protective Edge. So what does it have right now? And Iran is already firing things into Israel and all of that. And I mean, the Golan Heights is a very mountainous region between Israel and Syria. So I don't think you can really get a tank through. But, it wouldn't be too hard to infiltrate it in other ways and get troops through and all that.
Well, look,
So
if they wanted
I
to
know
get a
that
tank
the
through, they would
IDF
just
is
blow
on
the
high guard right
bejeebies
now.
out of those mountains so they could roll it through. They just build a road.
Well, that might be tough. And also they'd be bombing a lot of Arabs as well, because there are a lot of Arabs that live in the Golan Heights. There's a lot of Druze, which they follow a mixture of Islam, Christianity, and Judaism up in the Golan Heights. And they actually serve a lot of high-ranking positions in the IDF, the Druze. But anyway, Israel could be fighting a war on multiple fronts, which I don't think they've done since the 1967 Six-Day War, which had Egypt, Jordan, Lebanon, Syria. I mean, basically every Arab nation that surrounds Israel, got involved in that. And Israel defeated all of them in 6 days. There's a lot of speculation as to whether or not there was U.S. involvement. Then there's that whole USS Liberty situation that happened, which I think was probably an accident, where Israel fired on an American ship that was in the Mediterranean Sea in the area.
Didn't that get declassified as a false flag? I thought that got declassified.
It's not. The thing is, it's not totally declassified yet, which casts some doubt on exactly what happened. All of the survivors,
exactly.
All of the survivors think that Israel did it on purpose. I'm not. It's hard to tell if it actually happened on purpose, but the theory is of the survivors, of the people that were on the USS Liberty, is that Israel was doing that to distract the U.S. so that they couldn't see any war crimes that were being committed in Egypt. I don't know what the truth is. That's just what the survivors believe. That's what the U.S. Secretary of State believed at the time. So there's a lot of controversy still left over about
and
the
let's
USS
not forget
Liberty.
about during the Reagan years when the Iranian passenger ship got blown up by U.S. forces, and Reagan was just like, oops, sorry.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of bad stuff going on. Chaz, just final comments here. I got to get this crew home. They've been working so long. Just real quick, final comment.
All right. Yeah, and thanks to the crew, by the way. I'm glad you guys stayed on.
Let's get a look at the crew. Some of these guys have been here for more than 10 hours working. They're working hard.
Okay. Yeah, but anyway, this, Hillary Clinton actually said in her presidential campaign, if I'm elected president, then we will go to war with Iran.
Yeah, she did.
And look at what the deep state is pushing us towards right now. And
No, see that's it. That's it. Chaz, that's the perfect way to end it. Sorry to cut you off. Thank you for the call. But that really is it right there. And that shows you why John Kerry went to Iran. He is operating for the deep state. The deep state plans for a war with Iraq are still on the Iran are still on the table. They're still pushing it. That's what they want. So this is all Trump fighting the deep state as well. Let's not discount that. Trump is fighting the deep state when he's dealing with all this garbage to begin with. So that element is always going to be at play. And until these people get locked up or hung or put in Gitmo, he's never going to stop battling them. So final words from Jake Lloyd before we sign off.
Well, it's hard to tell exactly what's going to happen in the region. I suspect that we'll see like what you and I were talking about earlier, using the world powers to pressure the smaller ones to come to peace. I don't know. It's definitely a precarious situation. One wrong tip in either direction could cause a serious issue. Hopefully that won't happen. I would continue to encourage Americans and Trump supporters not to panic. At the moment, it could be going according to plan, or the deep state might have it. But either way, panicking is not the proper way to deal with it.
So again, we just extended our usual live broadcast that cuts off at 6 p.m. all the way through. We'll probably sign off here at by 7:40. Thanks to all the callers. Thanks to the crew that showed up. Jake comes in, sticks around late to help me cover this as well. And the reason we did it, you've got missiles flying in and out of Israel, missiles flying in and out of Iran, missiles flying in and out of Saudi Arabia, in and out of Yemen, in and out of Syria, and it's all seeming to pop off right now. And then you have the media blackout, which tells you that there's something else at play here where perhaps they're under a command not to talk about this for whatever reason. So you've got all this developing, and that's why we extended our live coverage here to break it down. So to everybody who still wanted to call in, I'm sure that David Knight is going to be covering all of this tomorrow. Real News with David Knight. That goes from 8 to 11 a.m. Central. Then, of course, the Alex Jones Show from 11 to 3. He'll be covering this, all the latest updates. He may even be doing a live broadcast or an update tonight. Stick around to Infowars.com for updates, the Alex Jones channel on YouTube for updates, and then I'll be back with the War Room at 3 p.m. Central tomorrow. So big shout out to the crew. Shout out to all of our callers. Thanks to everybody that tuned in. Please support us at InfoWarsStore.com. Get the documentaries, get the books, get the hats, get the t-shirts, or get the supplements, get the toothpaste. We're able to do all of this with your support at Infowars.com. We're able to send Jake and I on the road to the NRA convention and to the protest because of your support at InfoWarsStore.com. We're able to send Jake out to the road and do other special reports because of your support at InfoWarsStore.com. We're able to hold the crew over and not have them hate us because of your support at InfoWarsStore.com. So, hey, support the crew. Thank them for showing up and sticking around late tonight, past their hours, working overtime. It's all thanks to you at InfoWarsStore.com. For Jake Lloyd, for Alex Jones, for all the crew, this is Owen Schroyer. Thanks for tuning in. Pray for peace. God bless this country, and just continue to pray. Get on your knees. Do whatever it takes. Pray for God. Pray to God. He's probably the only thing that can save us from this. You stay classy, Info Warriors.
This is Uncle Sam with music and the truth until dawn. Right now, I got a few words for some of our brothers and sisters in the occupied zone. The chair is against the wall. John has a long mustache.
This is the heart of 1776.
It's 12 o'clock, Americans, another day closer to victory. And for all of you out there on or behind the lines, this is your song.
Staying healthy on the go is just as important as staying healthy at home. But sometimes, supplements don't work fast enough. That's why InfoWars Life has created a powerful new addition to the Super Blue line, Super Blue Silver Immune Gargle. Available in 1 ounce, 3.5 ounce, and 16-ounce bottles, Immune Gargle is perfect for the bathroom, kitchen, or wherever you go. The incredible new purifying formula is dentist recommended for daily use whenever you feel like you need to stay clean. As a powerful hand purifier or oral cleansing formula, just a small spray will help you stay clean when you feel surrounded by toxins. With powerful yet simple ingredients, Immune Gargle features Silver Sol Nano Silver for a powerful cleansing alternative. With Super Blue Silver Immune Gargle, staying toxin-free is easy and affordable. Help stop the spread of toxins and stay healthy with Super Blue Silver Immune Gargle. Only available at InfoWarsLife.com. That's InfoWarsLife.com.